Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, welcome back to another episode of Books and Buds, where we discuss two of the greatest things on planet Earth, books and buds. On our program, we do like to discuss the authors and the books that aren't getting the attention they deserve, that we feel they deserve a little more attention. Books like Annie Hartnett's Rabbit Cake and some indie authors that I work with, the independent publishing company I write for. Sometimes we just feel they need a little bit of boost, so that's what we're hoping to do on this planet. Some days we discuss books from authors that you may already know, like Stephen King. Who doesn't know him? But I don't think you might be aware of Duma Key. You probably hear the huge titles like maybe The Green Mile, It, The Stand. Well, he writes some great novels that, for some reason, I think are better than those books, but not a lot of people discuss. They don't get huge movie deals. They don't get serialization on television. Well, hopefully we'll change that because I'd like to see this turn into a movie. It was a fantastic book. Before we get into that, though, I do want to talk to some of our patients because we are sponsored by Burning Bush, hence the Books and Buds portion of the title. This is our sour diesel. So we did a big giveaway back in June. We were at the Expo Center in Augusta, and we just gave away over a pound of free stuff to patients in the area. As long as they had a card, we gave them a free sample, and we got a huge response for this stuff, the sour diesel. We were giving it away because we were kind of letting it go. We weren't certain that it was going to be good for our patients, but we got such a huge response that we ended up just cloning the heck out of it. So we got a little bit more. We had one plant that we ran through. It's in the process of curing, and we also are going to be doing a run in a couple months, probably of at least half of it, so we have plenty set aside for you guys. So don't worry, guys. We're listening to you. We are listening. We're paying attention. We love you. Thank you for being a patron. Cannabis. Need I say more? So today you probably clicked on my channel because of the title. Stephen King is not a horror writer. And let me dive into that real quick. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't have some horror books. He's written It. He's written Carrie. I mean, those are obviously horror novels. But I have a little list here of things I'd like to discuss, some of his books. I mean, for goodness sakes, we have Apt Pupil, Secret Window, Secret Garden, Misery, all of which I personally feel are psychological thrillers. Then we have The Shawshank Redemption, The Body, The Colorado Kid. Guys, that's literary fiction. I mean, there's no horror in those books. There's no psychological thrillers going on. There's no romance. It's just character-driven stories about people's lives who, at the end of the book, you know, they kind of come on the other end of their little journey changed. As far as I'm concerned, they're literary. And we have The Eye of the Dragon, The Black House, The Talisman, the entire Dark Tower series. I mean, those are fantasy novels, guys. Tommyknockers, that was science fiction. So, I mean, I've even read an essay by him in Entertainment Weekly. He was just discussing a month-long trip him and his good buddy took to Australia. And they were hanging out in the outback. They didn't have to listen to any of the local politics going on in our daily lives. They didn't have to listen to what Paris Hilton or Britney Spears were doing every day. And he was just talking about how nice it was to be away from all that noise for a little while. He's also written a couple nonfiction books. If you're a writer like myself, you've probably read On Writing. It's fantastic. It was kind of a personal memoir, and it was a little bit of him discussing the craft of writing. It's my personal favorite book by him. Not my favorite fiction novel. My personal favorite fiction novel of his was The Green Mile. I thought that was a great book. And he also wrote a book called Danse Macabre about just horror movies in general and his take on certain ones. Which also might add to the confusion why everyone thinks he's a horror writer. I mean, he's not. He's a writer, guys. He just writes a little bit of everything. He writes nonfiction. He writes fantasy. So that's a little bit of that, and that's why I wanted to kind of dive into that a little bit before I discuss this book. Because if you want my opinion, I think he's mostly a literary fiction writer with elements of different genres in it. Like this particular book, Duma Key, which we're discussing today. Sorry about that. Let me show you the title. Duma Key. It's a literary fiction book as far as I'm concerned, but it has elements of the paranormal. Maybe a little bit of horror here and there, but I don't think so. It wasn't a terrifying read at all. It was actually kind of nice. This guy just really got into a horrible situation. He came out on the other side of the book as a better man as a result, I believe. He unfortunately faced some severe loss, but it was just a great book. So we'll be discussing that shortly. Uh, One of the other things I want to discuss was why I'm discussing him is because we have a lot of writers that I'm trying to bring attention to, and guys like Stephen King are going to get the clicks. So I'm going to be discussing this book because it's not a better known of his. So we're keeping with our theme here of discussing lesser known books that deserve the more attention. But I'm hoping that you'll maybe subscribe to my channel because you like this review, and maybe you'll go back to some of the other stations or stick around for future shows where we discuss some of the authors you've probably never even heard about. So that's why I'm doing that. And also because I like Stephen King a lot. He's really been a big influence in my own writing. Because I kind of take after his style a little bit, not his writing style. Everyone's got their own style, but I like that he doesn't stick to a specific genre. If I want to read horror, I really stick to people like Richard Lehman. That guy just writes horror. He's never written anything else. If I want to read romance, I really enjoy reading Nora Roberts. If I want to read kind of a thriller book, I know a lot of my fellow writer people are going to hate me for saying this, but one of my guilty pleasures is James Patterson. I enjoy his writing. You know what I'm saying? But I enjoy reading everything. And that's why I enjoy writing everything. I write literary fiction. I write romance. I actually have a novel on submission right now titled No Stars in Boston about a man and a woman who are trying to find love. And they end up finding each other towards the end. You know what I'm saying? Romance. I've written a horror. I've written a psychological thriller. And I've written tons of memoirs and tons of poetry. I just like to write, guys. I'm a writer. So why limit yourself? Okay, so that's enough of that. Let's discuss this book, Duma Key. So it's about this gentleman named Edgar. He's a very rich man. He's a general contractor for a construction company that he owns in Minnesota. Gets into a terrible accident. So we don't know too much about his construction background because the book starts with this terrible accident. He gets crushed by one of the heavy machines that the operator doesn't see him sitting in his truck, and it backs right into him. He loses one of his arms. I forget which one. I think it was his right arm. He can't walk that well. He's got to go through some serious rehabilitation, both for his mind and for his body. I mean, it crushed his skull. Terrible accident. And in the accident, he accidentally lost his wife as well because she ended up leaving him because his temperament went out of whack and things just went all haywire. So he was kind of left to, because his daughters are older and they're off in college. One of them lives in Paris. So he's left to face this tragedy on his own and rehabilitate on his own. Since he has money, he goes to a warmer climate and ends up renting a beautiful property in Duma Key, which is just off the southern coast of Florida. So he's down there trying to rehabilitate, where he runs into this woman, Elizabeth, an elderly woman who owns probably most of the island, and she's the one renting the house to him. And her caretaker, my favorite character, this guy named Wireman. Wireman. For some reason, I want to say Whitman. But his name was Wireman, and I loved him. He was just this wonderful Latino gentleman. He just had a great sense of humor and awesome attitude in life, and he really helped Edgar stop feeling bad for himself. So far we got a nice literary tale, right? Sorry about that. Didn't mean to kick the camera. So far we got this wonderful literary tale. But all of a sudden things start getting a little bit weird. This is Stephen King we're talking about. You know, he likes to add elements here. And I think there was a little bit of paranormal in this one. As a matter of fact, when you flip open the front cover here, and it tells you other books by him, there's little asterisks next to the books that kind of relate to the Dark Tower series, and this is one of them. So I kind of had to rack my brain together a little bit at the end to see how this related to it. And, you know, interdimensional travel is a huge part of the Dark Tower books. And there's definitely some stuff with this gentleman. He's able to tap into different dimensions. And it's interesting how Stephen King chooses to make this happen. The guy decides he wants to start painting to help himself, kind of just give himself something to do. And it turns out he's damn good at it. So he starts painting these portraits, and they come out of nowhere. He doesn't even know where these ideas are coming from. Well, when he paints certain things, they actually become reality, in this world. So it's like he's pulling something from another dimension into our reality. This is Stephen King. He's just pretty damn good. The guy really knows how to write. So now this guy's got this issue to deal with, and he's fortunately got his good buddy Wireman to help him deal with it. And all this is kind of tied together with Elizabeth, who is the elderly woman I told you about that owns most of the island. When she was a younger girl, growing up on the island, she also enjoyed painting and drawing and stuff like that. Well, she had the same issue with the things that she was drawing were coming into our reality, so she stopped. So anyways, we're able to discover a little bit of her secrets in the past, and they're able to help each other a little bit. But he ends up becoming very successful with his painting, and everybody on the mainland brings his art to a nice gallery, and they display it for him, and it gets a lot of attention. So the guy's made of money. People just, now all of a sudden he's got a successful career as an artist. But unfortunately, this good luck doesn't last too long. Some terrible things happen, obviously, with these realities coming along that he's creating. But Stephen King has a great way of wrapping it up. I mean, you know Stephen King. He's wonderful. My only complaint about Stephen King is also a praise, to be completely honest with you, because this is why I get mad when people call him a certain writer, like a horror writer. Because when I want to read a horror, I want to read a horror. When I want to read a psychological thriller, I want to read a psychological thriller. So I've learned to just read Stephen King for what he is. He's a writer. So that was my complaint at first. Like, you know what? This guy just doesn't get to the point. He's got so much fluff, and I don't understand it, because that's what you typically see in the literary fiction work. However, I got over that, because when you put down a literary fiction novel, sort of like a Stephen King novel, you leave the other side of the book feeling like you lived an entire life aside from your own life. So that's one of the wonderful things about reading, is you get to understand so much about other people's misery, their celebrations, their backgrounds. Well, this guy, I mean, I feel like I totally lived his life, this guy Edgar. Just a wonderful writer. And you can't really do that if you're just sticking to the main plot points and keeping the prose down to a minimum. He's got a great balance of prose and dialogue, but he does give a lot of details for their past periods in their life, just right down to the taste of the coffee that the characters are drinking, and that can get annoying in something that's not literary. However, I've learned to just accept that as who Stephen King is. Sometimes I've read It, and it was a frightening book because the clown and because the spider and all that stuff, the horrible things that were happening to these children. But at the same time, I felt like I knew every single part of these children's lives from childhood to adulthood. And that's wonderful. That's what I like about literary fiction. That's why it's my favorite genre. And that's why I like Stephen King, because he gives these nice little elements of all these different things. In all of his different books, you never know what to expect. I don't know if I'm going to read a horror. I don't know if I'm going to read a psychological thriller. I don't know if I'm going to read a nice coming-of-age story like The Body. Or you might be more familiar with the title Stand By Me. But that was actually a title of the short story, well, the novelette. And I believe it was called, the heck was that? I don't know, that Seasons one. But anyways, the title of that story was called The Body. You're just probably more familiar with the title of the movie. But that's about it for today. I just want to drop a little bit of respect for this book because it was just wonderful. It's Stephen King, for goodness sakes. So let's give it a little more attention and hope that this gets turned into a series, a movie, something. I want to see what someone with some talent behind a camera can do with this book. Normally I like to leave links, but I'm not going to. You know where to find Stephen King. Go to any bookstore. Go to Amazon. You'll find this book. I will also be leaving a quick link below to where you can find Burning Bush, burningbush207.com if you're a patient in this area. I'd also like to leave just a quick link to my Instagram page because I'm a writer and I could use some love too. My first book, Corpse Elite, is coming out through the independent publishing company, Rhetoric Askew Publishing, and I'd love to see what you guys think of it. All right, gang. Thank you for turning into Books and Buds. I love you. Stay cool.